Like many Americans, I woke up today just like it was any other day in the Trump presidency. I thought they were just gonna, have President Zelensky of Ukraine over just to sign a mineral deal to, hopefully recoup the 350 estimated $1 billion that we have sent for Ukraine's war effort as some sort of like long-term partnership. But then I got on my phone and I saw a slew of just, oh my goodness. I ended up watching the 10-minute exchange, though it felt like 30, between Vice President J.D. Vance and President Trump. And, you know, disregarding the politics or the matters discussed, the rhetoric at which everyone was talking was, in my opinion, just like disgusting. Um, it was just unformal, had lacked decorum. Um, it was definitely not diplomacy. It was one of those conversations you have when you get into an argument with your sibling or something like that. We're talking about a real war with real people dying each and every single day. I remember a picture of Secretary of State Marco Rubio came out, who I admire greatly, 99-0 vote in the Senate for his confirmation, just having this, posture of just like shrinking inside of him of like, this cannot be good. Um, I'll get to the politics in a moment, but if you're having to argue with, foreign leaders in front of the media, that's only going to lead to more radicalization on all sides and all opinions of the conflict. Now, I guess let me break this down for you of like what the current situation is for me, just as a viewer, as a political journalist, if you want to call me that. So obviously, the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, broke a ceasefire agreement to invade into Ukraine in February of 2022. Um, you know, Immediately the United States under former President Biden came onto the support, launched sanctions against Russia, and so did a lot of other European countries. And because of that, Ukraine was able to put up a fight, a legitimate fight. And, while that war was still at the main discussion of American politics and just world politics in general, people were like, okay, this is not going as bad as we hoped. And, looks, on the pro Ukrainian front. But now this war has been going on for quite a while now. People are still dying, and it seems to be like a stalemate. It really does seem to be like a stalemate. And on the course of that time, the U.S. has paid in billions. I think the number is $350 billion into this war. And a lot of taxpayers are upset. Some people say, we don't want any of our tax dollars going to Ukraine. Others say, okay, use my tax dollars wisely. I happen to fall into the camp of use my tax dollars wisely, right? You know, if you, Even if you have no heart, you don't care about the lives of other people, which you should, but even if you don't economically, it is still good for Ukraine and Russia to prosper separately on the world economic stage, as they are both big providers of oil, and especially wheat. Comparative advantage is a real thing. It exists. That's Econ 101 for you. So this becomes the issue now, where you have this long overdrawn stalemate where, I can sense that the US is frustrated. I don't want to keep buying into this war. I don't want to keep funneling money that's probably not going to go anywhere productive. So Donald Trump's mindset now is, how can I end this war as quickly and as fast as possible? And of course, that comes to coming to the negotiation table. But one key rule in negotiation is you're not going to get everything that you want, right? You're just not. Unfortunately, the closest negotiation, if you want the negotiation in the closest, fastest amount of time as it stands right now, you're going to have, Russia annex parts of Ukraine that they currently control, right? Right. Do people stop dying? 100%. But then again, there was a ceasefire signed under, Macron that Zelensky brought up in today's discussion with Donald Trump, and they broke it. So how can you trust that, Russia's going to concede and listen to, their, ceasefire agreements. And on top of that, I listened to Zelensky's podcast with Lex Friedman, and he says, I cannot have sympathy. I cannot have, and I'm paraphrasing, I cannot have, you know, like let's say, you know, someone killed a member of your family. Is there room for compromise at that point? Is there room for compromise? I'm not talking about punishing the person. I'm just saying, can you let that person get away with anything? The answer is probably no. So I see both sides of this argument, right? I don't want the US to keep paying and paying and paying into this pointless war while it just gets dragged on for no reason. But I can also understand that it's like this war, you know, these lands mean so much to the Ukrainian people and the people that inhabit it, and all the people have been displaced either, in other European countries or even here in the States. I've had the privilege to talk to a few of these Ukrainians who came from Ukraine, and now are trying their best to get situated in here. And, they feel such despair and hopelessness. And that's why I bring up the point that says, regardless of the content discussed at that meeting, it was very unfortunate to see how it unfolded. And, it just doesn't make sense to me yelling and screaming at someone who didn't start the war. Zelensky did not start the war. He didn't. Um, do I think he handled the war, or his handling of the war is very lackluster? 100%. Right? But these things are not mutually exclusive. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, if they are, the so-called proclaimers of America First, that they sold the majority of Americans, they would, equally, or even they should more, go to Moscow, go to Putin, have Putin over and say, what the hell is this? Why'd you start this? Get the hell out of here. This is not how we do this is what we call peace through strength that, your campaign, the Donald Trump campaign, ran on. Now, do I think Trump is some Russian syndicate that a lot of people are peddling? The answer is probably no. The thing is, Donald Trump just lets the ego get to him. He really does. He saw, Zelensky test, the U.S. and test Trump's allegiance, and you could very clearly see in the video, Trump looks at the camera, puts on his macho man, nobody fucks with me kind of attitude, and that's how you had those types of things unfold, right? I think there is gray area. 100% there is a gray area to say, hey, look, Zelensky's current handling of this war is pretty lackluster. It's not where we want to go. We can't keep pouring these billions and billions of dollars. But at the same time, you can't, just disregard the right of the Ukrainian people to hold on to the land that is lawfully theirs. So it's a very particular and peculiar situation, and it's like, a lot of people don't like my videos because I'm not really hardcore. I'm not a hardcore believer on a lot of things. So, but when it comes to this Ukraine deal, I think both arguments, whether you're on the U.S. government side versus the Zelensky camp, both sides have pretty decent intentions, in my opinion, as to why they're, believing in what they believe and how they, came to that idea. But what ended up happening was the President Zelensky was, he was kicked out of the White House. The White House staffers actually ate that very lunch that was supposed to be served to Zelensky. And very strangely enough, Zelensky posted on Twitter thanking the U.S. government, the Congress, and the president and the American people so much for their support. And this just goes to show it's like money talks. That's where the power lands, Ukraine is very hell-bent on support from the U.S. So no matter how you slice and dice it, which side of the camp you fall on, or, I feel like the Ukraine situation deserves a very nuanced opinion. This is not a pro-con type of thing. There's a lot of gray areas with this, but I think this testy exchange that unfolded today is ridiculous from both sides, and it's a mockery on, actual innocent lives that have been displaced, effective, affected, and lost. So many lives have been lost. Um, Moving forward, my understanding, my political ideology, if I would only say, okay, fine, Trump, if you want to be super brash to Zelensky and be the macho man that you are, I would love and I would dare you to do that to Putin, because I really don't think you have the balls to do that. I really don't. But I'd like you to prove me wrong. That's what America first means to me. That's what peace through strength means. That's what the things you campaigned on mean to me. Um, you know, it's it's a classic tale of, you know, like, let's just say you have two people playing soccer, two teams playing soccer, and two people on, like, you guys are beating yourselves here, is what I'm saying, is that two players on the same team are beating themselves over, not realizing that they're playing against another person who's looking to beat them. It's like, why? Well, I just, it's honestly just embarrassing. It's ridiculous. It was a shit show, and like I said, I went into the politics of it all. I understand both sides and both reasons, but the way it unfolded was just embarrassing, and I don't know. I think I forgot which politician said it. It might have been Dick Durbin. I don't agree with Dick Durbin on a lot of things, but I truly do agree that Ronald Reagan would be rolling in his grave right now. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you soon.